All right, so
Oh, we're
today
live.
I know it. So today we
Yeah.
have Adam Cunningham. He works at Muncie Central High School and teaches social studies. So Adam, aside from doing social studies, you also are one of the adults in charge of the philosophy club at Muncie Central High School. But what I wanted to know first is how long have you been part of Muncie Community Schools?
I got my job here at Muncie 7 years ago. So it's the seventh year I'm teaching. Back in the summer of 2014. I got the job just a couple days before the school year actually started. So I drove down here on a Saturday, I think, and the first day was a Monday. So I was kind of totally rushed. It was a huge crash course in the beginning of my professional career, but I loved pretty much all of it. Um, I've taught majorly like world history and geography here. My first year, they threw me in a personal finance class because they didn't have anybody else to teach it, and that was like some of the scariest moments of my life because I don't know anything about personal finance, and I had to wing that super hard. But yeah, 7 years. And I mean, it's insane that it's been that long.
What
I
was your
keep
degree originally in?
my degree, I went to college first. Originally, I wanted to be a teacher. And then I decided I didn't like the education classes. So I dropped that and just became a history major.
Mm.
And after I graduated, I'm like, okay, now what do I do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll teach it again. So I had to go back and do basically a really intensive year-long program to go through all the teaching courses and do my student teaching. Um, and finished out. I did my student teaching at Portage High School. If anybody out there is from the region, that's actually where I'm originally from. And for about a year or two afterwards, I did alternative school and then moved down here.
Okay. Where was the alternative school online, or was it where you're originally from?
It was at Chester High School, the high school that I went to when I was
Okay.
a kid. So once again, up in the region on Lake Michigan. Alternative school, kids were fun. The actual work was incredibly boring. It was
Right.
basically me managing some online courses, grading, and helping kids out wherever I could in whatever subject they needed to finish.
So I have a
Sarah,
question.
what is alternative school? So it's basically a different placement for kids that either need to catch up, say had trouble passing classes earlier on and need to graduate a couple things very quickly before the end of their school career, or kids that don't succeed in the classroom at all and need some other avenue to actually get their credits and graduate. So it's all online courses. Basically, uh, in my experience, we have an alternative school here too. I can't speak to what the experience is of the kids in there, but we were in a room with a bunch of computers, and each kid was sat at a computer for about 4 hours a day, and they went through online modules and sped learn everything, mostly on their own, unless they were completely stuck. And then I tried to help them with whatever I could, hoping it was like a social studies question.
Mm-hmm.
Usually it was something with math, which I couldn't help anybody with that at all.
Yeah, I knew some people back in my hometown. We had an alternative school as well, and a lot of students really thrived in it to get that extra credit, especially kids that didn't really fit in to the
Yeah,
traditional learning.
yeah, some kids absolutely do really succeed in it, and it helps them out, especially kids that might not be able to stick with a actual regular school schedule. Maybe they
Mhm.
have something going on in their lives where they're not able to be there all day.
Mhm.
So it's definitely helpful.
Mhm. But now, rather than alternative school, you now teach at Muncie Central High School. What inspired you to host and help facilitate the Muncie High School Philosophy Club? How did it start, and how did we get to where you are now?
Oh, the inspiration.
Hmm.
Inspiration all comes from Sarah herself. I was introduced to Sarah through a mutual friend, Drew Shemetta, and he got us together. She told me her vision for the philosophy club, and the pop program. And I don't know at the beginning if I understood exactly how extensive it would be. I was definitely interested in having some Ball State students come in and have our students be able to interact with them. So we started that in 2017, I think, was when the first meetings were. And it was pretty much straightforward, relaxed. I think there were like 3 or 4 BSU students that came in once a week, introduced different topics in philosophy, and we didn't have any philosophy courses in the high school at all. So everything that was in there was basically brand new to students, and we're able to foster a lot of discussion between them. There are a lot of kids that became really interested in it and stayed throughout their entire high school career. Some kids popped in and out every couple of weeks to find out what's going on. Some kids came once and never came back again. But that was the start of it. Yeah, basically being introduced to Sarah.
Now that you've been a part of this for a few years, have you kind of found what you like about philosophy, or what you've learned from the high schoolers about what philosophy means?
That's a good question, man. Have I found what I have liked about philosophy? I took a philosophy course in college, an intro to philosophy one. And to be honest, I didn't enjoy it at all. I don't know if it was the professor or the content that we went over. We went over a lot of Enlightenment philosophy, which at the time I didn't like. Now that I've been teaching high school and I've actually been focused on like the French Revolution, the Haitian Revolution, and I have to learn a little bit more about that stuff. I enjoy it a little bit more, but back when I was in my early 20s, I saw it as an elective that I needed to pass to get through. I'd say through seeing the interaction between the Ball State students, the kids, and the directions that they take the discussions, yeah, I've absolutely found a lot more that I have liked about it for sure.
Why do you think it's valuable for children and young adults to learn philosophy?
I'd say the main thing that I enjoy is seeing students come into a particular topic, dead set on one viewpoint, and then through discussion be able to evolve and change their viewpoints. I think it's a really good exercise in that, something that's going to be very, very valuable to them throughout basically the rest of their lives as they encounter a lot of problems with the world and a lot of new things that are happening.
Has doing this philosophy club kind of changed your structure in the classroom as the years have progressed?
I'd say the philosophy club has probably fed into it a little bit, but when I started teaching, I was a very like definite content oriented guy. Like I said, I was a history major. So like, of course, everybody else loves history. They want to learn about this stuff all the time. Of course, you figure out that's not the case at all.
Right.
But if you're able to foster discussion or try to create activities or reflections that connect with the kids a lot more, things will be a lot smoother. And I know I've tried to do that more and more as my career has gone on. Yeah, I'd say philosophy club has definitely fed into that for sure.
You've been supporting the philosophy outreach project for a few years now. What do you hope your students can learn from POP and its members that help out with the Muncie Central High School Philosophy Club?
Ooh, I'd say the experience that they get just from a college level setting is absolutely good. I know that we're able to provide that in a lot of the social studies AP classes. I can't speak for the other departments, but there's a lot of good teachers in the other departments as well. I know that the kids that come here do it because they really enjoy the openness of it. And being able to connect with the Ball State students as well. I think that's something that they really, really do cherish and keeps them coming back week after week.
A lot of the students that you have that frequent the philosophy club, are you primarily seeing mostly seniors, freshmen, or just like a mix?
I'd say it's a mix. When we first started, it was a lot of upperclassmen. We got a group of kids that were underclassmen and went basically their whole 4 years. And now that they're gone, we're getting a lot of underclassmen again, people that are trying it out for the first time. So I guess it evolves from year to year as kids graduate and we have to get like new crops of people coming in.
So in regard to focusing on you and philosophy, what is your favorite dimension of philosophy and why?
I saw that question this morning. I thought about it. I'm like, oh man, what am I going to answer this? Because I have learned a lot through the actual club. Like I said, during that college course, I basically did what I needed to do to get a solid grade in it. But thinking about it, I enjoy a lot of the Enlightenment philosophers, like I brought up. I've learned a lot more about Jean-Jacques Rousseau and Voltaire and Descartes. I've always been a big fan of Marx, and there's been more than a few days where a couple of Ball Statesmen come in and do the philosophy of the intense left, like Marx and Engels and some others. So I'd say that stuff definitely resonates with me a lot. What I enjoy seeing is when a lot of ethical questions get brought up, and I just enjoy hearing what the kids have to say about those, whether it's the environmental ethics or morals or what we were talking about the other week. What was last week? It was, help me out, Sam. You were there.
I don't think I was there. I don't think I was present last week. I think it was a couple weeks back. We talked about identity a few weeks back.
We did talk about identity, and we did
Okay.
personality a little while ago. Sarah, so throw something in the chat. The care ethics. Thank you. All right. What does it mean to care? Yeah, that was fun to watch too. So I enjoy watching other people talk about that for sure.
Right. So with the last couple years that you have been doing this, you said it was about 2017. You've been able to have the philosophy club in person and now through Zoom. Do you think it's been better or more difficult because of Zoom? It seems like having that chat option really helps open up conversations, but I didn't know how limiting it might be.
Honestly, I think the online format has made basically everything more difficult. I think it makes it tougher for people to interact. And the chat, I think it's the easiest way for kids to communicate online because they don't have to mute themselves and unmute themselves and worry about feedback since we're all in the same room, or at least most of us are in the same room. They could just mute themselves and talk away on there. But I think being in person is way better. And you'll get kids talking the same amount in person, just not as quickly maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely understand that. I did attend a philosophy club last year pre-COVID. And it was there was just great conversation. Everyone's feeding off each other, and you kind of see that with Zoom, but there are its challenges.
Yeah, you miss people sometimes through the chat because it goes through so fast that sometimes people's comments just get lost in the entire collection of it, and that's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I saw recently that you've received the Lilly Endowment Scholarship to take high schoolers on a virtual vacation to the Caribbean. Can you talk a bit about what that'll mean?
That's a little bit misphrased in the article. So I'm not taking high schoolers anywhere. It's not a virtual trip. I'm actually going to Cuba and Haiti. I'm going to be doing that in the summer of 2022. And it started off as an idea for a trip for me. And then a friend, actually Drew Shemetta, as well. Drew's got so many good ideas, suggested that I could make it an educational trip, apply for this grant, and be able to have more experiences in those two countries. So the idea is I'll be able to go to those two nations. I'll create a travel blog centered around different aspects of culture that I could find in both nations, and then make that the centerpiece of a project that I'll have kids do at the beginning of every year. I do a culture unit in my geography classes. So they'll end up choosing a country that they're interested in and create their own little travel blog, a little bit similar to the one that I made, and use it as a reference when they're creating the project.
That's awesome.
I hope so.
Would it be when the students return in the fall, or would it be like a summer course type of option that would be available as you're traveling, or is it after the fact?
I'm going to make the blog available as I'm traveling, but the course itself will be in the fall when I get kids back in the classroom for both my regular and my honors geography classes.
Okay, awesome. So follow up to that original question, what are your goals for the high schoolers to learn about with the virtual vacation?
Oh, the plan is just to be able to expose them to as much diversity and out of the United States thinking as possible, and actually get a sense of exactly as much as culture kind of entails. I try to break it down to like 7 different aspects, but each one of those aspects are huge. Like art,
Mm,
of course, there's like so many different types of art. You know, there's actual paintings, but there's music, there's movies, there's theater, there's dance. We're talking about traditions, there's food, there's holidays, there's actual religion based in there. So just try to get as many different examples from these countries as I can and show the kids what like our neighbors are like.
mhm,
Give them a sense. You know, it's boring just to talk about a place through a PowerPoint. The kids never get like an exact like grounded view of what other countries are like. I'm hoping that this will help kind of shape some sort of viewpoint better
mhm.
for them.
Are you so you're since you're traveling to multiple countries, is there one
Mm.
that you're more excited about in particular, to visit first or second or final?
The original idea was just be Cuba,
Mhm,
but as I written this grant and I've researched more and I've begun planning it, I mean, Haiti is equal to it now.
mhm,
I can't wait to be in both. I mean, I'll be visiting 4 cities in Cuba. I'll be in Havana, Cienfuegos, Santiago, and Trinidad, and I'll when I go to Haiti, I'll be in the area around Port-au-Prince for a little over a week. I'm excited to experience both of them for sure.
yeah, that's awesome. I believe that is all the questions that I have. Thank you so much for talking about philosophy with us, talking about the philosophy
Well,
club, talking about school.
before we go, Sam, what do you enjoy about Pop so much?
Hmm,
Being a member of it.
being a member of it. I love that there are a lot of opportunities in it, and it's more than just one thing. It is helping with Muncie Central High School. It is helping create resources for students and teachers, and it's also creating a conference. And I think that's just
Yeah,
fantastic.
I didn't mention the conference. You very excited for the conference?
Yeah, I'm really excited. A lot of us are working together to try to get everything ready. We're gonna try to get swag bags. We're gonna have prizes, hopefully a scavenger hunt. It'll be interesting, especially over Zoom. I've never done a Zoom conference before.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes. Both years that I was able to take students, they absolutely loved everything about it.
Mhm.
Um, Pop Kids did a great job of organizing it and creating a lot of different breakout sessions that were super interesting. I'm excited to see what you guys do with it this year.
If there are teachers watching that are wanting to do the conference virtually at school, um, what are you doing at your school to help provide it to the Muncie Central High School? I thought I'd heard that you have a special room or something, some different ideas of what you're gonna be able to
The idea for us, I
do.
don't know, were you asking me, Sam, or were you asking other
Yeah,
teachers?
like what are
Okay.
you thinking about doing so maybe other teachers can hear it?
The idea is that we would set up a room during the day where kids could come in and be able to log into the conference, basically free of distractions from the rest of the school.
Mm,
It's only supposed to be a 4-hour period this year, right?
mhm. Yeah.
So do that in the morning. Um, Maybe bring in breakfast for them.
Mhm.
Um, Talk to Sarah, see exactly what the schedule's gonna look like and see what she wants to do with it. But yeah, that's what I have planned so far.
Yeah. I mean, it
Try to
sounds
give them some experience where they're outside of the school for the day. She put it in the comments, 8:30 to 12:30.
they're
I was just reading the chat, sorry.
no, you're fine.
My bad, Sam. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, thank you so much for, your willingness to interview and to be able to talk about this and all these different parts of philosophy and yourself.
Oh, absolutely, anytime. Thanks for having me on.
Let's see, Sarah was asking us to stay.